Good afternoon. Good evening. Let's see here. All right, folks. Good evening. Welcome. This is Afonso Z and Salt. If you are getting the sound here, please let me see. Lot is ongoing here. Good evening. Welcome. This is Afonso Z and Salt. If you are getting the sound here. All right, let's do a little bit of setup yet. Hopefully the sound is okay. Multiple outlet here is open. For those of you that are viewing, monitoring, please, if you getting the sound here, Musat, please let us know. We want to make sure that the audio, everything is good. I'm getting multiple audio here, and that I think I discovered it. But if the sound is okay, just let me know, and let me see if I can get the test now. Okay, thank you so much. Well, folks, good evening. Welcome to the program. This is Lpr-Tv Live. I'm Afonso Zayn Sort of the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. A lot is unfolding. The panelists will be here this evening, as usual. We say good evening. Good morning if you are in Liberia. Please hit the share button for us to have this. This is Afonso Z and Salt of the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. We want to welcome our viewers and listeners across the globe. Thank you for sharing the morning, the afternoons, the evening with us, no matter where you are. What a lot is unfolding. Our guy is standing by in the West African state of the Republic of Liberia. The team of panelists, they're going to be joining us here. But in the meantime, let's take a rendezvous as usual to bring you some of the news making headlines in the interest of making it proportionate and letting you know what is going on in other parts of the world. What report coming from Uganda says about 12,000 trial Ebola vaccines is being administered in that country. As you know, Uganda now is battling with this vaccine. Report says Rota revealed that the alleged secret abortion is ongoing, being carried out by the Nigerian army. A Rota investigative journalist is reporting that as well. That is ongoing here. We want to welcome here. South Africa, report coming from South Africa. You remember Cyril Ramaphosa, president, the parliament are currently delaying the vote to decide the fate of Cyril Ramaphosa. That is unfolding. These and many more. A walk back, a big twist in Liberia. GOL. Government changes positions. What next? We are hearing more rallied to come. Those informations yet to be verified and authenticated. Let me go into the West African state of the Republic of Liberia. Our guy, Mike Dan, is standing by to get a sense the latest in Liberia and how this decision by the Ministry of Justice, Republic of Liberia, the acting president of the Republic of Liberia, instructing the police commissioner to provide protection for civilians. Mike Dan is standing by in the nation's capital, Monrovia. Let me just hear and see what's happening. Mike, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. So, and good morning to all of our listeners that are watching us and viewers that are watching us this morning. It's quite just 2 minutes to 1 a.m. here in Monrovia. So it's a bright morning time, and though some people are still going about their normal businesses, but it's quite a morning time here. Monrovia is quite good. Everyone is doing their normal thing here. So the time is quiet, except for those other news making events that have been been happening, like the one you just talked about, the granting of the CPP peaceful protest at the SKD that they have suggested. So they were finally granted to them on yesterday, Friday, by Mr. Councillor Musa Dean, who is the head of the cabinet right now while the president is away. And that protest uh, one may call it protest or peaceful assembly will be taking place on the 17th. But earlier on, before we could reach to this stage, there were some hula baloo or how or where the venue of this particular event going to be. Because earlier on, the CPP has said that they want to stage it at the SKD and then they pay some money to the management at the Ministry of Youth and Sport so that they can do their peaceful assembly there. But again, we heard Minister Zioga, who earlier on said that there will be no activities there. But again, later on, he somersaulted, and today finally, yesterday finally, the Minister of Justice, Councillor Musa Dean, finally agreed that yes, indeed, they can go about doing a peaceful protest, and they're going to provide security for them as well. Uh, in the same
Yeah.
December, on 20th, yes, you're coming in.
No, go ahead, and I'm gonna do a follow up.
Okay, so on the 20th, just before right after the CPP on protest, the ruling party had either on planned a petitioning ceremony called We Are Election. We are re-election, President George We Are re-election. But on Friday at the news conference, which was also broadcast live on LPR, they have said that they're going to postpone that particular event to next year, 2023 March. Reason for that much was not talked about as to why they want to have it. They said they want to have everyone involved. But again, people are saying that probably because of the CPP event being a bit closer to the 20th is what the CDC is extending their petitioning ceremony for the president re-election. So so many news making event yesterday, just on Thursday rather, the U.S. ambassador to Liberia, Mr. McCarthy, had a press conference talking about sanction because on Friday was the day for the International Global Manisky or the Manisky Act, which also clamours on the which also part of the International Anti-Corruption Day. There were many Liberians who were expecting another additional names to be added to the five guys who were being sanctioned by the U.S. government. But unfortunately, or fortunately for some of the officials here, there were no new names named by Mr. McCarthy. But again, he sent a serious warning that the whether officials will not be sanctioned at the 2023 election will definitely determine that, and they are monitoring the Liberian electoral process very keen. That they hope that everything going to be very much transparent and peaceful.
Okay, let's have a conversation with the rest of the group going to be joining. We say good mornings and welcome to all our viewers and listeners in the USA, Liberia, other parts of the world. Thank you for sharing your Friday evening here with us. How we got to this point here, it being a little bit rocky here. Was there some sort of conversation to you? What are you hearing? Was there other conversation that were taking place outside off camera before Frank Musa Ding, acting president and the minister of justice, to come up with this statement to it? Was there any hint? Was there something that the press were caught on guard off guard?
Well, there were not. There were many people. Again, people are saying that the ruling establishment has bowed to pressure from the government or the opposition party here in Liberia because of uh, the pressure. They continue saying that they are tired of this protest. I mean, from the beginning, much was not being said about this whole protest. For the matter of fact, that it will be taking place on the 17th. It came about when the people, group of opposition politicians said that they were tired with some of the activities under the government of George Weah because he have not been able in governing them, and so they are tired. That's how they call name the rally or demonstration or protest, one may call it, but they call it "We Are Tired" rally, tired suffering rally. That's how they coin it. So they say it's intended to draw the attention of the government. But again, um, earlier on, many were thinking that the government would stop the whole process because even if venue selection, there was some problem. Earlier on, they have gone to pay about 4,000 like United States dollars for to secure the venue for the usage of that particular day. But again, it came a time where the minister said no, the SKD is not for political gathering now. And later on, he somersaulted where CPP was given a go ahead to stage a peaceful protest. So this is how what have been happening. It was not like much or plenty thing was really about it. Again, probably there have been some discussion indoor among the government, but it was not. I mean, among politicians, it was not widely spoken about. Like to say that the government was brainstorming. Yes.
Okay, we want to welcome our senior contributor, Madam Koto Balayan Fazira, who will be going to Garden City, where our senior contributor, Dr. Kidman Guatakara, is also here. We're going to be a quite fascinating conversation here this evening. Our man, Magda, is inside Liberia. Hopefully, the rest of the folks going to be joining us here. Happy Friday. What? Did I forget to say TGI Thank God it's Friday? Good evening. TGI Thank God it's Friday. Happy Friday, guys. Everybody looks so neat. What? Is there any planned dinner somewhere outing after this program here?
I think
Everybody
so.
looking.
I gotta take you over dinner.
Okay.
I
All
need
right.
to
Good
get
evening.
my dear sister Toronto, at least. But the day in Monrovia, I can't take him for dinner.
No,
Okay.
exactly. You can't take
All
it.
right. I think Sister in there's an echo. I'm not sure where it's coming from. If anybody have a device open, just make sure you want to control the audio. You want to put it to a mute, silent, just in case. If it is better, maybe I will just try to, for the respect of our audience and also keeping our conversation good, maybe I'll just close people up and see whether it can be minimized, and then if I were to bring you
It's
in,
from your side because for you when you're speaking.
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
from my end.
Yes. I think.
Let me see here. What's
Yes,
going
yes.
on?
It's me in actually.
Oh, so that's a clear indictment. Everybody say, okay, let me do some housekeeping here. Let me do some housekeeping here and double check here. Folks, I will be back. This is Alfonso here. So. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I will kind of like close people up. I'm not sure what is still happening here, but I will close people out, and then when I were to bring you in unmuted, just to make sure that we have, we'll try
It's
to
still
figure
happening.
out something.
It's happening especially when you are speaking.
Yeah, when the
Especially
system is
when you are
corrupt,
speaking,
it makes it
it's
very
still
difficult.
echo.
So let me bring myself back here to see if it'll work. Okay, we'll try to see. Okay, let me bring in Dr. Joyce Toto is here. This seems to be a full house here this evening. Friday, a lot of news happening. Dr. Toto, good evening. Welcome.
Yeah, also, good evening. Let me greet my fellow panelists in studio.
Okay. All right. Folks, just bear with all. We'll try to do the best we can to control the audio, but whatever the case is, we'll manage. Few message for being okay. All right. Yeah. So, Mike, yeah. Go ahead quickly. I know it's very late on your end there. So let's get a reaction because the panel is going to be with that into this.
Yeah.
Is not what is the reactions of Moravians, Liberians as a result of this protest not being granted by GOL for CPP to go ahead with the protest?
Yeah, on the various social media platforms here in Monrovia, many people have been saying that yes, indeed, the CPP requests have been granted, that the government has bowed to pressure from the opposition, and they are saying that it means that their requests or whatever they want to do have been answered. So as such, they will go on the 17th to peacefully assemble at the Samuel Kando Sports Complex. This said they're going to showcase and said, you remember before this whole granting of the permit for them to protest, just 2 days ago, Mr. Louis Brown, who is the campaign chairman for Mr. Alexander Cummings, was attacked at one of the local radio stations here, uh, and 4 persons in connection to that act have been arrested and as we speak. The 4 gentlemen who were involved in the brutality against Mr. Brown, or the attacking of Mr. Brown, they have been sent to court.
Okay,
So,
quickly here before I start breaking.
from
Yeah,
all
before I start breaking
indications,
the other verse.
you can see on the faces of the opposition here that many of them are very much happy that this particular request has been granted, and
Okay, here we go. Welcome to the Republic of Liberia. Let me get here. Okay, let's come back here right in the state. It's the burning issue. I know we have our issue to discuss, the issue regarding the Chief of Staff's statement. In fact, there is editorial news here from our sister network, African Star. We're going to get to that. But we also have with the new thing emerging, which of course makes it a new news, is something concurrent, something that is happening. So we didn't see this coming. But there's a guess there was a conversation going on here. So we're gonna be getting the analyst reaction here very quickly here on this one here too, because that is very, very, very much important in this news era here. So let me just bring you in here. Let me unmute Madam Balayan Koto. Let me bring in our man is from Minnesota. Sister Gloria is here. Mike Dunn is still back with us here. Let's see. There's a full house. So you know what? Dr. Tokara, do not make friends with this guy here. He playing nice. It's on a short-term basis. I'm telling you.
Don't mind.
He's
Don't
my
mind
buddy.
him.
I just love him. I just love his energy.
Thank you, Dr.
Okay.
Toronka.
All
Don't mind
right.
him, man. Let
I don't
go.
want to be assisted with me when the going gets tough and the talk gets going. Okay, so let's get a serious business here. Let's get a quick reaction from all of you, the folks. Let me start with Koto here. Now, the government of Liberia, through the acting president, the Minister of Justice, who supposedly here we call Attorney General, Chief Solicitor, prosecutor of the country. Now, the statement saying the folks can go ahead to have the rally. Is that a big plus for a sitting government, knowing the history of African country, to say, okay, opposition, go and do what we do? Should we clap for GOL, or is that something they should have done way ahead of time to avoid a striking point?
Okay, thank you very much, my dear sister, Dr. Taranka, and Susie, and Mr. So. I'm just glad to be in your midst. It's a privilege for me to be here to discuss the issue of Liberia that we love so much. And I want to say hi to all of you, our listeners in Liberia and all around the world. I want to say we are pleased to be here to discuss the issue of Liberia. Okay, the issue with the granting of the protest so-called rioting, you know, I think that should not be an issue that the justice minister will say that they will not give a release for them to have their protest or rally because
Did I hear you saying so-called rally?
well, well, no, I'm just saying quote unquote rally
Okay.
stroke protest. That's what I'm saying. I'm
No,
not.
I mean, you are at liberty to
Yeah,
say
but
what I just want to make sure that
it
it's
is
clear now.
not, people take this word so called as a negative. It is not negative. It is positive also. It
Okay,
depends
okay,
on how you think about it. You know, we
okay,
have the interpretation. People say so called. Look at the negative aspect of it. No, it's both positive and negative. So
okay. Yeah, all right.
I
Good.
say it doesn't put it in the negative part of it. It's positive. You know, so to
Okay.
get that clear. So government coming out to resist the people right, that's the right of everybody, the right to speak, the right to assemble, those are the right that we have as a citizen. So that should not be an issue where they will have to stop the people to, for their voice to be heard. That's their right. And for me, I don't have problem with it. It's just that when you try to say, everybody have to join you or other people who will join you, you get that kind of side feeling of them not joining you, then that's where for me I have a problem with. But for they have the right to assemble and they have the right to speak on whatever issue that is yanning for the Liberian people. And it is positive. For me, it's a strong issue. It's just that for me, I did not want it that way. All I wanted for us to do is to continue in our various community, educating the various electorates. That is what really for me I would prefer. But again,
Okay.
my preference is not the same as other people. So
Okay.
for me,
Thank you so
I'm
much. Hold
glad
it.
I took that stand because that's the right thing to do.
Okay. Thank you so much. We are in a full house tonight. We're going to keep it succinct, very brief to the point, so that everybody will be accorded the opportunity. All right. I know there are some happy folks here because there are people who are championing what they call this cause for us. I've been hungry. My folks been hungry a long time before this whole thing. So we tired being suffering. The suffering is being there. So we want to see right after the protest what are the suffering we see. Okay, Dr. Taranka,
Yes.
let me
Well,
bring you. When you think here of the government actions, this protest is kind of been hanging over. We will do it, you can't do it. We'll go there, yeah, we'll not go. There has been in the Liberian saying seesaw, people putting your defiance, but it's not common within the African government tradition to say they will always tussle over these things here, not allowing oppositions to express their will. But now, finally, the Attorney General or the Minister of Justice, who is the acting president, because the president is still out of the country as far as we are concerned,
mhm.
now say, okay, go ahead and have your protest. Should we clap for the government or that's the government responsibility? What beyond that now, too? What should be looking up? uh, within this whole protest here. Everything gets a downfall, downsize to everything. So the protest is going to be going ahead now as we are hearing.
Right.
You, what besides the protest is what will you be looking for beyond the protest?
I mean, first and foremost, I think the Constitution, at the very least, on a prima facie basis, give the right to citizen to protest. You have a right for peacefully, and that word is there, peacefully protest. So I think the government was at between a rock and a hard place. You cannot deny citizens of the right to peacefully protest. Now, I believe the sensitivity, though, that has arisen in our African countries, especially in Liberia, when protesters want to, the motive of protesting is to arouse the people into something that would be detrimental to the country, or incite other people into violence. I think that's where the concern, because of the history of the motives of protester, I think that's why this became a big deal. But the right to protest peacefully, it's a citizen right. And whether or not they got it right or wrong, I think the issue is if they evaluated the request and evaluated the written request, the motive and everything, and they found it that it was credible enough for them to move forward with protests. I think they got it right in that instance. However, I think it just become a big deal now because of the sensitivity around protesting and violence in our country. That's what has been systematically derailing a lot of the messages we want to send. So I don't see any reason why it's a problem to peacefully protest if they stick to if they stick to what the certification has said and what the rights that have been given to the people. I think there should be no problem.
Okay, there should be no problem. We'll always give people here. Okay, so let me come to the man from the far right, Atlanta, Georgia. He is one of the strong advocates. In fact, by the way, they say rally. Let us not retweet and construct the intents of it coming together. They say rally. So we will take them for that. So Amos George. Let me see. Okay, let me see here. Yeah, Amos George, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Who get us into this talking point?
Oh, the CDC. The CDC. Article 17 of the Constitution of Liberia said all persons should have the right to peacefully assemble at all times and instruct their representative. Ain't no other way around. The Constitution is very clear on this. They were the one who came in and said, hey, this rally will cause trouble. How come? Organizer, the party chairman said, the party organizer, everybody has said no. It's a peaceful rally. We will ask the government to provide protection under the law, which of course today, the Minister of Justice saw it fit to do the right thing. Because he would have denied us, the Liberian people, the only option was to go to the Supreme Court to interpret the Constitution, Article 17. But being the Attorney General knows the law, he said, no, let the people assemble. The police instruct the police director to provide officers to provide assembly. So I think it's the right thing. But here's the thing here. The people who trying to cause trouble, they were the one who were demonstrating yesterday. Mama Moro, the video is there. When they marched onto the police station to demand the release of Vandana Patrick at the time.
We will come to maybe the details. I just want us to hear strictly
So the government did the right thing. I mean, hey, it is their obligation.
Okay, obligation.
That's their job.
All right, let me go to Minneapolis, the guy there with former Senator Al Franklin. He also actively involved in politics, Sissy Goyle. Sissy, let me bring you in here. Are you hearing me, Sissy?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Okay, good. The Attorney General, no questions. He's the acting president. Amos George, I see him giving credit to Councilor Frank Musadin. Do you think this action by Musadin is in acquiescence with the boss to, hey, maybe I've taken a hot telephone line, Mr. President. I think this time around, this is the best direction for us to go, because I don't see how we got to this point to be even been talking about it. These things should have been avoided. But country is country. Everybody trying to test their political strength. What will you be watching out for now? Now the protest is playing as it was playing, it will be going ahead. What would be your concern as a librarian? What else you be going to be looking for?
So, just really quickly before talking about that, it's only in dysfunctional homes that we give kudos to the father for doing what his role is. Why are we here praising the government for enforcing the Constitution and allowing citizens to exercise their rights? In my household, I provide food for my children. I don't get on Facebook and say today I bought food and everybody clap for me. When a dysfunctional household, when the daddy bring food home, then mommy can call everybody in the community and say, oh, you see what papa did? He bought food for the children for Christmas Day. That's when in a dysfunctional household that can happen. Look, the ambassador's letter was a big reason why all of these things are happening. The letter from the embassy, the ambassador of the United States, this is a big reason why this is happening. You and I were on this show. I told you, I said, at the end of the day, Musa Din will be the one to call this shot because the government was in error with everything from people right to assemble to the venue to assemble. The government dropped the ball. There was no way you're going to push ANC around on this piece. And so now you see Moriba Molu hosting a press conference. The same Jefferson Koji that was threatening Louis Brown, that they were going to play in the street, now saying that their president wrote to them and say, because, they kind of, intellectual property took other people things and say above the people above politics. Now, George, we are no people above politics. When you say anybody insulting Liberia will not walk on the street in Liberia, now all of a sudden the people above politics, they're moving their stuff to February. No, it was not people above politics. The ambassador letter made it. They read through the line and know what's happening in there. And so the CDC that said that they have hosted this, they were going to do a series of this. And if the ANC guy in the street are going to meet the ANC, why are they backpedaling now? Because they understood the diplomatic message that came through the ambassador's letter. Let's call this what it is. The second thing is now I have to look for people who in the opposition community, and I'm about to put my brother Josh Toto on the line here because he belonged to the LPP. The LPP had this thing they call press conference. And the LPP is supposed to be a political party of very smart people that they sat down there calling people nincompoos and other very derogatory names. And now they are copying from the CPP protest to have their own protest on the 15th. But the only difference is that, you got that Chinese skin type, go to tier. So you got to have it different way, right? So they're going, their own will just be different. They'll just go to the capital and present it there. Buffoonery. So you ask me what I'm going to be looking for. I'm going to be looking to see how many people come out, who comes out, and what is the discussion that happens. And there has been a prevailing conversation going on that, after December 17th, will the people not be suffering no more? I think people who say that don't understand the essence of protest. When MLK in this country was protesting, when people were being killed, when they started with Emmett Till being murdered, people didn't say, because Emmett Till got killed and dog got sicked on them. So when you protest today, tomorrow the KKK will not come out no more. KKK kept coming out. But the idea is, the intent is you continue to highlight your issues. You continue to bring it out. Alexander Cummings and the ANC did not promise Liberian people that after the 17th, there will be no more suffering. Alexander Cummings and the ANC are in no position to make such promise because they are not in charge of government. Their responsibility is to highlight the plight of the Liberian people. And so for me, I'll be sitting down, I'll be waiting to see the 10 people that will go for LPP to the Congress and who all show up at the stadium.
Okay, let me hold you there. There seems to be a divided house now. The cat is eating its own baby. Dr. Toto support the candidacy of Tiawan Gonglo. You support the candidate, but now you draw the red line here, LPP guy. Dr. Toto, we must give you a chance to clear your name out of this here. What is going on? What is going on? Yeah, I heard that now. Like, what is happening? How can the opposition? Where is this coordination? Where is the commonality if this president is to be a one-term president, as has been their argument? Why you guys? You heard what Sister said?
Yeah, Sister kind of most of the ANC got tonight. You try to join the far liberal from Atlanta tonight.
You're far right there. This is it, man. So you funny.
But also, that look at the bigger picture of the whole protest here. First of all, let me just give it to the CPP for the government granting them. We saw what are the decline in the government is the PRO arm of the government is very weak. They don't know how to communicate. And they talk and dig and just get on the air and say anything. We saw the youth and sport minister came on the show here a few days ago boasting that how they are saying member or they are nobody will use that facility. But look at or let's look at the report that came from the Justice Minister. You know, it kind of contradicted what all he said. So it like people just jump up, even though because you feel that you minister for a particular agency in the government, you just have the right to just come and just speak any kind of way you want to put the information about sitting government. And that's one of the weaknesses of that government in Liberia. When it comes to the protests, why is it true that it is a constitutional right for people to protest? They are guaranteed by the Constitution, but equally also too, there are people in the opposition to that look at the caliber of people that host in the protest also too. They have no moral voices for the Liberian people. They are the one that are responsible to get the country where the country is today. And now they want to be the face. They want to be the face for tomorrow to gain support for the Liberian people. And that's the reason why some of the opposition are not supporting the protest, especially one party, LPP.
So why you're stealing the people idea?
That's the idea. They want to make the Liberian people to understand that we stand by you. We understand the suffering that the government has leveraged on Liberian people, but the only way forward is not to go choose somebody, people that have no moral character, people that have no understanding. People that have no understanding, people that are being responsible for the war. In that country that get Liberia to where it is today, they want to be the voice tomorrow. They want to step on. It's a complete deception to the whole political struggle, opposition struggle in Liberia. But at the end of the day, they want to click on something. That's a disappointment. The whole protest here.
Okay, I'm not a soothsayer to know exactly all what you're saying here. And for my listener, my job here is to get the point strictly to my viewers and listeners. Who are the caliber of people you are referring to? Who are
we're talking about the life of Louis Brown, who was one national security advisor to the notorious regime in Liberia. A face of the protest here.
He's the only person that you.
Is that the only person? There are some people that underneath, but we talk about the face of the protest.
Okay.
The person that set us is the protest. That's the one the question is all about.
All right.
If our standard bearer was tortured when he was national security advisor to Charles Taylor.
Okay, let's leave it there. I think we are adding more layer onto this.
How agree with not you when your standard bearer was minister in Eden government?
Hold on 1 second.
I'm not going to Eden government.
We're going to do it one at a time when we spin the room. Welcome the Liberal Progressive. He's involved. The Liberal, good evening and welcome. My senior brother was asking, what is the Liberal? Like, what is that?
Good evening, Mr. Soul. The Libra is here, and I want to thank you. First of all, I apologize for being late, but as you know, the assignment you have me on for tomorrow, and the equipment, the new equipment, you spend all that money to purchase. I'm testing that as we speak on a very serious note. As we speak, I have them lined up here. I'm testing them right now. There's a very serious money you spend, and I appreciate that. But we're testing them. We're going to showcase ourselves. LPR are going to showcase themselves tomorrow again. The assignment you're giving us to for the Cummings program. Hopefully that you will continue to approve the assignment, and we will make every one of us proud tomorrow. That's for sure.
With all that introduction of the occasion, that does not guarantee we're going to be friendly here, considering knowing your views. So I appreciate that, but we are on a serious business here. Let's bring you into this whole thing here. I guess you've been following, and thank you so much.
I've been seriously following, and I I think everything that Louis Brown did and it's all laughable. Look, let's get this thing serious. You tell me, even among all of us here tonight, just forget about the politicians themselves. As Liberian, which one of us have now been affected in this war? And which one of us that you will say you didn't give any of the fighter water to drink and you have the opportunity to do? Which one of us here are going to sit here and say each of these fighters perhaps were not fighting on our behalf, and because of that, many of our relatives were saved? We can't go on with this war
No, liberal, I disagree with you. I want to do our
Doctor,
Dr. LPP.
no, this is Dr. Gongolo, associate. So please, let me continue with my point here. No, on a very serious note. So if we're going to take this whole war and hang it around a particular person or a group of people, we're going to go nowhere. I think what needs to be happening here with this whole protest stuff, it's a test. For me, as a liberal and somebody who admire Ambassador Bakai, I say go on, good thing. Now we're going to see the strength of Kumi and his people. Why fight this thing? Let them have it. And in fact, I think I said it here one time, the government has they have no standing. I'm not a lawyer, but they have no standing. You can't say, oh, my deputy make a mistake, and therefore, no, the deputy represent the institution. And the institution, if you think the institution is making a mistake, the institution have no standing in the court of law. You can say, oh, the judge will not say, oh, by the way, you're sorry, the institution make mistake. It hasn't happened yet, and it won't happen in Liberia either. And I think what is interesting in this decision from Councillor Dean was that he threw the Minister of Sport and Youth and him and the president threw this young man under the bus. Forget bus, on the trolley. And it's difficult to get him out of it right now because they sat by. This is ridiculous. This is what we do in Liberia. These people sat by. The Minister Dean and the president, they all sat by and allowed Zogo Wilson to make the round, explaining how it is not feasible to use that area, and that these people will need to come and get their money. And nobody, not the president, will cause Zoka Wilson to say, no, let them have it. Until after he finished making his round, defending himself, even blaming the poor lady. Now you're going to come out. You think Musa didn't get up and make that decision by himself? No, the president is involved. And this is cowardly, and not because the minister is a friend, but this is a coward behavior. If you're going to stand up for something, say so. But for me, with all that said, my interest here, Mr. So, is that I want to see many politicians. Excuse me?
Yeah, let the referendum then you can come.
Well, I think the central, the far right knows the liberal position at this time, and so when I'm speaking, he knows nobody is going to interrupt because Mr. Central Right, you can wave all your hand you want. It's not going to move me. You know, I'm on the floor. Let me finish my statement. You're going to have to have your time.
Even talk,
Mr. So the liberal is on the floor, please. So the point here, and I'm wrapping it up now, and I'm getting ready to turn it over back to you, Mr. So. No, on a very serious note, I think Kumi and his people, they have to be very careful how they accept this protest or gathering or whatever they want to call it. Because if it goes south on the hungry people that they're putting together, and if they don't do what CDC used to do by cooking for the people to eat, and the people, you putting all the people together, and they ain't got nothing to eat. And they see Kobo all around. You got money to get their Kobo to go eat when they're hungry? Oh, I said let them have it. It's going to be very interesting.
Okay, we know we're in a full house here tonight, so we want to keep it strictly to the point. So we're on air. I'm just receiving a jingle from the organizer of this protest, and I will play it. This is quite interesting. The process is intensified. Yeah, Mike, go ahead quickly. You were trying to come in when the Liberal were talking. Mike. Okay, the internet in Liberia now is in coma. Mike, are you hearing me?
Mike, did I have Hamanas?
I didn't get you.
Yeah, go ahead. The Liberal were talking, and you were trying to jump in. What you were trying to say?
Yes, I'm
Okay, Mike. This system is so bad. somebody, let me just play. This is interesting. Let me play this here quickly. Let me make sure that's the right one here. Okay, let me play this one here, and then we can have a conversation.
Don't give up the fight. We tired suffering, oh, we tired. We tired suffering, oh, we tired. Yes, my sister, we tired suffering. Stealing, too much in the government. We tired suffering. Killing our people, nothing coming out of it. So much in the government, we tired suffering. Giving their family there and their friend work that they know the person not fit to do. Too much in the government. We tired suffering. Let it be now. Papa and Mama not get money to send the children to school. We tired suffering. Possibly not being part of. They're all over the streets. We tired suffering. Imagine, government recording. They can be causing law for their pain. No man, we tired suffering. My brother, our country gone way beyond. Only the president, his family, and friend, they enjoying while we suffering. So we tired suffering. No. I will not equal with you. The president feel flat. We tired suffering. Yeah, we tired. Yes, so yes, we tired. So my people, you'll not be scared. Join us out on Saturday, December 17, 2022, to tell the president and his wicked government plus the whole world that we tired suffering.
This is the jingle now being released by the organizer. We just received a we tired suffering. That seems to be the slogan. That seems to be the rhythm that's going to be playing out. Look, I'm not sure where this is going in the end result. Is Louis Brown being put on the top of Mount Kilimanjaro at this point to be the face of ANC, because we don't know yet. It's hard to make this decision yet, but he took the podium. He mounted the podium to announce this year. Let me bring you in here. Koto, when you listen to this jingle here, we tired suffering, been so repetitive, saying it over and over. What is going through your mind?
I must say, a tired suffering.
That's right.
You tire sending money.
Yeah, my money back home.
That's right.
Yeah, where will you go look like? What's happening? No, to the serious note, the suffering is really high up on our people there, and it also spills on everyone else here. I think there is no way we can rule ourselves out of the suffering that our people go into, and that's why for some of us, with all of our busy schedule, we have taken our time to come here to make our voices heard, to our people. We have come here not to come and marinate, not to come and show up, but to show our sympathy to our people back home, because whenever they are suffering, we feel their pains also at this end. And actually, it's something that we all should consider. And I adding my voice to those that are going to stand out there today, that we should look at the issue right now that we are facing. Because from the interview I get from people, just one really got to me that I thought this person had a serious problem. Because he was asked, why is he still going to vote for George Weah? And he told the interviewer that he voted for George Weah because he still, but now other than making business now. Other than able to make business now, everyone of them doing in the street making business. Well, my question was, if I was there to ask him what are the business that he's doing can sustain him and his family and even be able to pay his children's school fee. Okay? Because some people sometimes they answer questions or they say some things, they don't look at the life of other people comparing to their life. I see many people that don't think about what their future should be or what their lifestyle to be. Let them look at other people and compare like your neighbors to see where your neighbors are comparing to where you are. People don't make decisions based on that. Why am my life better off today than tomorrow? making a decision, or the criteria set up for a leader is it met with, that I can make my decision based on that. But I see that the decision making is kind of like poor for our people. But again, we have to continue with the education and tell them that their life, they don't deserve the lifestyle they live in, when in fact other people are misusing their resources that's supposed to be coming to them, for them to, for them to be in that suffering mood. But again, yeah, that's why I think people have felt that the stage they're in, they have just been, you know, comfortable with the stage they're in, and not knowing that they can be better off than that.
Okay.
That's
So,
what.
Doctor, thank you so much, Doctor. Dr. Taranka, let me bring you in here. You listened to this jingle or commercial or how you call it, soundbite, uh, whatever you want to term it. We tire suffering. We tire suffering. People saying this, guy. Is that a good strategy? Do you think this is going to help to galvanize the ordinary Liberians that found themselves in that position of this tire suffering? And what could possibly be the downsides of the other opposition as well, like your candidate, Mandela Cooper? This more or less is orchestrated by the ANC CPP. Would that disadvantage the other opposition group to say, oh, these are the people that get it. These people are fighting for all. Listen to this here. What's your own understanding with that?
Well, first and foremost, I once again want to reiterate that under the Constitution, everyone has a right to peacefully assemble. With that said, if the Ministry of Justice was able to vet through their requests and see that the motive was genuine, they have a right to grant this. Now, aside from that, the jingle, he listened to the jingle. I think I questioned the moral rectitude of the jingle. Liberia has been in a state of suffering for a very long time. Liberia has been in a destitute place for a very long time. Liberia has been reeling in retrogression for a very long time. I find it rather ironic and strategic that in the middle of the election season, that this party would decide they are going to create a jingle that will incite the emotion and stoke the emotions of the people. And I think, out from an outsider looking in, that jingle seems to be an attempt to sway emotion, the emotions of the people in their favor. I think it's going to hugely backfire, because your message, the message does not have a direction. The message does not have is specific. We're tired. Yes, Liberians are tired. There are corruptions. What is the exact motive? Why are you protesting? We have been in this situation for perhaps decades. What are you protesting? The lack of education? Are you protesting the lack of health care? Are you protesting corruption only? If you generalize your protest, I think you will lack a target. Now, Magdala Cooper has been systemically speaking about progressing education and healthcare. I believe if she were to even decide, oh, I wanted to protest, and she's not deciding to protest, by the way, I think her protest will stand on a specific issue. Generally categorizing that you're tired. Everyone is tired in Liberia. Unfortunately, our president is out of the country for this extended period of time. And I believe that's a huge security risk, by the way, but that's a side issue. But I think that the jingle, the timing, and everything is just a strategic move to stoke the people's emotion when they're in a more dire situation. Now, if the party came up with a strategic plan on how to help the people in their direness, in their tiredness, and then effectuated a protest, I would see a point. I didn't hear anything that they're doing to help the people. Feeding the people on the day of protest is not. And again, the sensitivity of protesting in Liberia, the very vulnerability of people being exposed to protesting without a strategy, without a reason, and you just launch a protest that will incite the emotions of the people. That's dangerous. That's very, very dangerous. So that my take on it is,
So
I think it's
hold on a
strategic.
second here.
I think it's I think
Hold on
it's
one.
strategic. I think it is just an effort to stoke the emotion because there is a definite harder time. There's lack of rice and stuff in the country right now. But have a strategic plan. I don't hear one.
You don't hear one. Before I go to it, you inserted something dynamic into this here. In other words, this jingle is overcrowded. You want to hear specific. Is that being strategic? Perhaps they are trying to sway voters out of sympathy because of what? So
Absolutely.
are you walking back from the protest taking place? Is that why you
No,
said?
no. I think I preface this statement again as a disclaimer by saying the law gives everyone who requests a permit and the permit is vetted through and the right to protest peacefully. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But if we have to and we can't dissect their motive. We what we're trying to do now is determine what their motive is for protesting, and that's also unfair to them. So if you're asking me, the first question you asked at the box was, should they have done it? Yes, I think they should have, because if they went through their permit and saw that they have all eligibility and met the standard, it should be granted. If they weren't granted, I believe it was going to erupt something even more from the people. However, now when you play the jingle and you say, look, listen, what do you think about the jingle? I think that the jingle is weak and is one that incites the emotions of the people, because this party, I have not heard anything that they are doing to alleviate the people's tiredness. And again, it might have, I just don't know. But you don't have a strategy and you don't have one targeted area that you're protesting. And generally people protest because of specific issue, not that they are tired. The whole country is tired.
Okay. Views and opinions are all we express here. Let's spin this here into this point. And that's the beauty I like about this network here. Everybody patient, tolerance, and listen to people. But get ready. I think we're going to get the other flip side of it. Amos George, it doesn't look so well. Let me start from bottom to top approach here. Let me bring in Amos George here. Amos George.
Yeah.
You listen to the jingle. Does that jingle commensurate with what the protester or the organizer are doing? What do you think? Is it a message needed into that jingle, you think?
It is. Let me say this. The ANC is not an NGO.
Oh, Lord.
The ANC is not an NGO.
All right.
The ANC is a political party, and it is not in charge of the government. It is the government responsibility to provide every needed thing for the citizenry, because they control the resources. The opposition, the ANC is only trying to give direction where they think the country should be going. Now, you say it's not, it should be a Pacific. It cannot be a Pacific thing, because the certainly not affect Masorado, affect Maryland. The school system is failing. The healthcare system is failing. There's no safe drinking water, poor electricity, roads. Everything you can think of in the country is affecting the people. So you cannot get and say, oh, we'll just protest because of education. No. Corruption is on the increase. Unexplained death, killing in Liberia. So we just take one issue to say, okay, we're going to protest for death, and what about other issues? As we speak, there are some farmers who cannot afford to send 2-3 children to school. Should we just take that one issue? The ANC said, no, we will take a holistic approach. That is why we say the people are tired of suffering. And let me say this. This protest, the ANC or the CP, did not say that the protest is going to provide a solution to the people problem. But it gave the citizens the opportunity to speak to the government, telling the government what is wrong. That is what this protest is all about.
That's a solution to the problem, you're funny.
Well, now, come in. Secondly, this notion that this project will be daily or whatever you think of. Let me say, let's do some history here. Every opposition in Liberia, all the protests that I know that they have staged, they were the one that instigated violence. It was the government. 1979, Samson told Noah, but hey, he was part of that protest. The rest riot. It was the government that opened fire on innocent civilians. On
Putting
Garden
the
Street.
radio on the spot.
It was the government. During 1985, after the election, it was the armed forces of Liberia under President Doe that started beating us with rattan on the bypass because we were demonstrating. It was not the civilians. Forward. Recent protests on George Weah or even Ellen. It was the government again using the police. George Weah, it was Jefferson Cochran, the government using the truck to harass peaceful citizens. So it's not the opposition that has been in Liberia. Let's put that record straight.
Okay. Let's spin the ball in it.
Yeah. For that protest, for people to say it would not be organized, it would be organized. It would be organized. And those who say security risk, then you can go back and ask Molu then.
Okay. Let me hold you there. Sister Goyo, Dr. Taranka, I know they make specific reference. I'm going to come back to you. You will respond for a fair share. But let's see here. Let me just get it through the room here and see, because maybe more layers going to be added onto this. Sister Goyo, be the cutting edge guy here into this whole thing here. Let me put a quote here, temporary quote, just after the show. Dr. Taranka made her point. Amos Joyce from the far right came. ANC is not an NGO. They're not messing Sans Frontier. They're not save the children. They're not better way to children's life. Well, it is a political institutions in his word. Where do you stand on those two statements here? Where you find yourself?
I think Amos Joyce would not be a spokesman for a political party ever. But because that would be a soundbite that everybody would play through their political party. So, but I understand what he's trying to say. Look, opposition political parties do not collect tax dollars. They do not run governments. They have very little, if any, ways of reducing rice price, reducing gasoline price, solving murder cases that are going unsolved, ensuring that government don't steal, government officials don't steal, and that military 14 hospital is not substandard when you send the security and you send Samuel Tour to Turkey. Opposition political parties don't have anything that they can do to fix that. In this country, the minority party, the only thing they can do is always lay out their ideas, their platform, and try to separate them from the ruling party. The Republicans have been doing that very well. That's why they ran on in the midterm. The Democrats do that. You can't change anything. So to assume that because I complain in Liberia and say that murder rates, unsolved murder rates are high, and I'm a opposition politician. I mean, so how you gonna do to solve it? I can't go force patriots to do. I can't bring my own a private investigator to go solve that, right? There are certain things that are just inherently and constitutionally the prerogative of the government. I think one of the problems people are failing to see here when they talk about this retire campaign, there are two things for me I see. Number one, Louis Brown is not a face of the campaign. If you listen to the press conference, Louis Brown announced the people that are going to be leading the campaign, which included the Yana Boy Association and everybody. His name was not on that. Louis Brown is not a member of the organizers of the.
Let me intercept you a little bit, Sissy. I'm sorry to do this here. He is not a face. Why then he mounted the podium? Why? I'm coming young. When are you going to? Why these young boys? Why these people, other group of people? Why not Liberian people see the other side of these people who are actually? Why should he mount the podiums to be the guy to release this?
You see, that for me, that was a tactical error by the CPP. But that doesn't still mean that we'll go back and say because that happened, therefore Louis Brown is the face of the rally. I can mount the podium and introduce a guest speaker Does that make me the guest speaker? I can mount the podium to introduce the program and say our program today is going to include recitation that we used to do in Liberia and all other things. Does that mean I'm the face of the program? Absolutely not. So, but I think Louis Brown is a lightning rod. And so he's so sticky that most things can stick to him. And so people are using him because he's a magnet, right? And I think that was a tactical error on the part of the CPP to have put him up to make the announcement. But that state does not say he is the face of that. The second piece is, yes, I understand sufferings have been all over the world, but people are looking at magnitude. People are looking at magnitudes of suffering, and people are trying to put that in perspective with the promises that were made. The CDC came to power promising change for hope, change to inspire hope. They have run a 12-year campaign that they could do better. They have run a 12-year campaign that our changes will inspire people to have hope. And so now when you see a lot of people hopeless, that is why people are tired. If you make a lot of promises to me and you don't show up, it's easier for me to get more tired than if you didn't promise me anything. Especially so when you were in opposition for 12 years, telling people you could do this thing better. And you come to power, the first thing you do, you harmonize the salary of the people. You cut the salaries in half while increasing the salary of the Ministry of Finance, balloon that out of proportion, and people are building mausoleum for their dead parents. And then beyond that, you go ahead and you force people to buy insurance, and the insurance is in various ministry, not all over the place. And so now I'm making less money. Now you're making me to buy insurance, so I even get less money to carry home. Okay, fine, that's good. But beyond that, there is the prices of everything that I need has increased. So that if I'm making $50, which has been proven that there are government officials making $50 and below, and you tell me to buy a bag of rice for $17 this Christmas season, and I buy one bag of rice out of that $50, can I pay my rent? Can I still pay my way to go to work? Can I do anything?
Is about to answer
so that is the reason people are saying they're tired. It's not necessarily like it hasn't happened before, but there are magnitudes of stuff. Like even real quick, even us who teach math, when you tell kids about infinity, there are magnitudes of infinity. Not all infinity are equal. So not all sufferings are the same.
Not all suffering are the same. Trust me, doctor, I'm not forgetting, but I'm getting to get a different version of this yet. We have a liberal, the most liberal on this network. He's always on his other side, in his own comfort zone, in his own world. I see him swinging around, so is that there's going to be a split home here this evening. The liberal progressive.
Mr. So, thank you. First thing first, let's do some housekeeping here. Of course, I'm late. But let us also, I'm not here to make friends. I'm not here for kumbaya here. I'm here to be truthful and say exactly what I think and what I believe. I also want the audience to understand that if you think you can come, if you don't have the English language as your command, don't come here. Because the words you use to describe your brothers and sisters must be acceptable. This is an intellectual platform where we come out here for hours, 2 hours. We will be here disagreeing vehemently with each other, but not once will we try to use words that perhaps you would not want the words to be used against you. I'm warning Peter specifically, and if it's continued, he's going to be blocked. There's no question asked. Because here's the reason why I'm bringing this up. If people taking time, their time to watch us, not that they don't have anything else to do, but you can't have people coming to listen to people making sense and all, not even if they don't agree with it, but they're listening to them, and you're going to have somebody to continue to use insult word. That is unacceptable, and that's something that I'm going to be policing around very quickly. Let me say this here, Mr. So, and the reason why I brought this on here, because I have nothing much to add on what I already stated. Let me say this here, Mr. So. At this point, I particularly don't care to look into the crystal ball of what this protest or rally is going to be. When the rally is over, I will dissect the speakers, things that they're going to talk about. What are they going to do? People are suffering. You know how many times my mom been suffering before she died? She died suffering. You ever seen before I was born into a town? She was suffering. That now you want to tell me my mom can't suffer again? Of course she died now. But on a very serious note, Maybe these people are coming in using this team, that's fine, but perhaps based on the gathering speakers, the Yanaba will come and speak to their suffering and what it is that they think that will help them to relieve their suffering. The Kobo shop. Yeah, I wish I had Kasali right now. I say Kobo, that would be nice to have. But anyway, the Kobo people, they will come up and make statement about why they have a lapa bido. Why it makes so
hold on one second. Hold on one second. I am in charge. You know that here. And this network here, we are disciplined people here. But I think you made a very good point. And somebody still there wants to be like a billy goat and to act like a billy goat. If you are a billy goat and you want to be a nanny goat, we don't do that here. This is why we take our time. People that are here, they are all professional people. You can stay with these people. And so St. Peter, he wants to be an idiot. We would tell him we don't accommodate idiot here. Liberia has serious issues that we are talking about. So be here, let he be gone.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, the point here, Mr. So, is this: one of these speakers, whoever is going to be on, they're going to bring in different speakers. I don't know what the format going to be, but hopefully we will be able to listen to these people to explain to us why they think at this time they want their suffering to be pronounced to the international community, to the entire world, to their brothers and sisters in Liberia. Now, then the question is, what are we going to do about it? Now, if, on the other hand, and I don't want to predict, I will be ridiculous because that's what I do, and I do that real well. If, on the other hand, if some of these speakers come out and say, only means that can solve your problem, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, then the liberal will be all over that. Until then, Mr. So, I said, let them continue to call for the rally. And in fact, I also have a complaint. I wish LPR would transport me to Liberia. I want to join them because you, the CEO of LPR, refuse to pay me. You refuse to pay me. I'm unable to feed my family here. I want to join the protest.
Let's protest against the CEO of
LPR.
We'll ask the board chairman to resign before protest against the CEO.
You're not getting paid. You're not getting paid. So I want to go and join them.
Board chairman to resign. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, guys, let me progress. Dr. Toto, is there a potential big disagreement we can try to forecast here within the opposition? Because there are other, I've been listening to other network and they have slammed your guy, Tiawan Gonglo, for his position that he personalized. But he's telling his story. It's a real lifetime story as well.
Definitely so. This is where I disagree with the liberal. You know, what people experience in Liberia, you can't just easily disassociate it from them. People brought chaos on people in our country, you know. So the councillor has a own personal experience, so he had to tell his story out there for people to understand it, the people that leash evil against him. So he has a right to put his story out there. When that comes to the protest, I don't know whether the protest will be successful. The reason why the June 7 protest was successful because all the real opposition black, everybody here were on deck, and the white from behind the scene, and even Alexander Comey and others, they were all part of that June 7 protest. And it was a whole nation protest. It was so how successful that protest turned out to be. Despite the chaos of people were talking that the June 7 protest will bring destruction in the country and things like that. But it turned out to be successful because we had all the real opposition were part of it. When it comes to the Democrat protest, it heavily divided. It would just be a certain group of people that believe in the ideology of the CPP, and other people that support would turn up for that protest. But other opposition would encourage people not to turn up. And these are things. If you can look at the history line, if you look at Kenya had one of the most corrupt government. When Kenyatta was there, when Raila Odinga for the opposition, he protests. At the end of the day, his message, because irrelevant when in the eyes of the protester. So that's how I see the protest to be. If the protest becomes irrelevant in the eyes of the people, you turn up, you shout, we suffer this, that, it's not going to bring any kind of major change or message out there for the people to see, because there's a heavy division. We continue to say the face or the ideology behind the protest here, they are the people that brought Liberia to where Liberia is today, and they want to create a human shield to gain sympathy from Liberian people to say, okay, we don't have a protest against the government. What is the problem with the government? The government has created more chaos on the life of the people. We understand that, but for where the protest is going to stand, I don't think I may be wrong. I'll end up being corrected tomorrow if that day comes, but that will be a successful protest.
Okay, quickly, before I go to Dr. Toronka here, if your guy you support for any reasons, assuming some conversation is taking place off camera, and he comes out tomorrow publicly that he calling on his supporter to be part of this protest, where do you find yourself?
I am an independent voice, even though I support the ideology of Taiwan Congo, but I don't subscribe to some of the ideology also.
This is why you politicians do. You're quick to get into a political correctness.
I have as heirs to the protest. I have as heirs to the protest. I must heirs for in line with him. But if he somersault, he come out where it's to him. But that doesn't mean I'm going to somersault in another direction too.
Okay. You see, politicians, that's how all of them. All of you guys. So, Dr. Toranka, I know they responded to you. I hope you still have that. You can go to A, and then the second layer to follow up would be, what should the CPP be doing now? Now they are giving them to go ahead. Should they reach out to other political parties to bring that accommodate, to bring that to solidify their political group so that it will be one, like how Dr. Toto just mentioned in past rally. I know it's hard for a group of parties to just come to a full conclusion, but what should they be doing now to, after you respond to what was what you said?
I think Brother Amos says that they're not an NGO, correct? We all know that they're not a political party. My statement, and I still stand by it, that the timing is rather strategic, because these issues have been existing in the Liberian government perhaps for decades, and even now, a year ago, 2 years ago, they could have tried to bring these issues to forefront. I think you asked me about the rally, and I said, quite frankly, it is a strategic move. Now, how effective it's going to be, I agree with the liberal that we shall wait and see, because you cannot forecast someone's motive, especially when the issues that they are speaking, and I'm not kind of backwalking this, is what the people are going through. I just, again, think that the motive and the strategy has to be perfect. Otherwise, it will indeed backfire. And it will backfire because stoking the emotions of the people is a very dangerous thing to do in the midst of a country that is very fragile and vulnerable to strategy. And that was my point. It's not an NGO that is correct. Then stay in your lane and talk about political issues. What are you going to do? What are exactly the direction your party it's going to go? What kind of plans will you have for these things? So it's one thing to, as a political group, to raise the issue that we're tired of corruption, we're tired of this. Now you have to balance that and tell the people, and that's what I'll be looking for to see, as like the liberal said, what are you going to do as a party? Now, in an NGO, an NGO can stop at the threshold of, this is what our issues, we're tired of it, we want to see these changes. A political party that's going to step and raise the issue must say, this is what the issue is. We're tired of corruption. We're tired of this. We're tired of the poor healthcare. We're tired of all these things. We're tired of the economy. We're tired of poor job rates. However, this is where we're going to take the country. This is how we're going to spearhead you into making your life less hopeless. This is what we are going to do. And that's what I'll be looking for. And if it is void of that, and I think this protest is nothing more than a strategy to stoke the emotions of the people.
So additionally, should now, meaning what I'm trying to sense out here, you want them to add more flesh on this bone here. They are giving us bone, no flesh, nothing for us to chew. Should the ANC now reach out to the other opposition to say, hey, maybe we need to have an inside meeting here and make it more concrete instead of it being like abstract? Is that what you're pushing for? Is that what you?
I think on the grand scheme of things, a protest. I'm very much used to protesters standing for specific issues. The issues are vague and they're sort of just shouting, "We're tired of the government. We're tired of the government." I think in order to have a more strategic plan, they could have been inclusive, but I'm not very sure how effective that would have been if they were more inclusive, to see where they're able to include other leaders so that they can speak firmly about some of the issues that that is void in the government. I think that would have probably been a much more effective a plan. But again, we're looking at whether it's a rally or a protest. A protest is simply, look, we're protesting issues, we don't like it. So
okay, somebody asking us to play the jingle. Okay, Mama Liberia will try to play it. Let's do a little bit spinning here. So, Koto, let me come to you here. And why will you agree with Liberal today here? You have brought a huge problem to agree with Liberal point. My goodness. Oh man. So, Koto, now the rally is rallied. Now we know the rally going to be taking place. Is it, should the ANC or the CPP, the organizer, should they begin to exhibit, to begin to showcase, to begin to open up now? Should they open up to know the components, the ingredients of this rally, such as like speakers who are going to be talking, to what specifically they're going to be talking, where would, if there's any position statement, where is this position statement going to be going? Do we need to know that? Or is this just going to be like people mass as usual, hold banners, and people come and speak, and then the next day will go home? We have been seeing this happening. What should be the recipe you think in your world? Do you think that this rally should be like that? The CPP should focus on. We need to know their speakers, then what they're going to be talking on different things. Do you think?
Thank you very much, Mr. So. We know the politicians, we know our strategy, and we know to use different kind of strategies to do different kind of things. And from what I see, people have been telling Kume he's not known, he's a stranger, with all of the nomenclature. This rally is something of like showcasing Mr. Kume, and I hope they do well for him. But from my perspective, I think that's what actually is for, because all of the protests that have been going on from June 7, bring our money back, and the very protests that have been going on, there have been no result from all of the protests that have been here. So I see no reason to continue here when I get my campaign to be running after to stay protest. But again, that's a strategy. Probably that's going to make Kumi known. He's going to be popular. Then.
So are you saying, in other words, that we rebrand Kumis?
Exactly. That's a strategy. Prove me wrong, but I'm telling you, that's exactly what it is. Let's do this. And some people say the man is not known, the man will be known, and exactly that's what it is. Because we've been making statements, there have been people speaking about the issues, going on. What's so extra about this? It's showcasing. That's a candidate. You want to showcase the candidate, and that's the most important. And that's a good strategy also. I tell them, I can tell them that's a good one to do. But we can look and see, like we're waiting to see. But from my own perspective, I think that is actually what is going on.
What is going on? Sister Goya, it must hold your peace. Sister Goya, let me bring you in here. We know the the stigma, the identity, how come he has been described? He is a stranger. He just coming. He has not been with us. Where was he when we were suffering? He never visited refugee camps. These are sort of things that they are put on him. Now, I know Louis Brown, very smart guy, very strategic guy. He's been in the student vanguard. Yeah, they get all kinds of way of doing things. And I kind of still disagree to somebody to say he's not a faith. Of course, he does. But do you think this is meant to also lay out a good political argument for Cummings, even though he's quiet? Maybe he's been speaking, I don't know, probably he's going to be speaking tomorrow, the Labour are going to be there. But do you think, like Waka Koto said, do you think it's meant to elevate his political credential that yes, he led a rally, he was part of a gathering, the political gathering to retire suffering, which reminded people if they are forgotten? Do you think that's a strategy to make him more viable to comes 2023?
Well, far be it for me to try to speak for the ANC, but putting on my political hat, the ANC will be foolish if they don't highlight Cummings. The CPP will be foolish if they don't highlight Cummings. It is a CPP rally. It is the same reason why after Tewan Gonglo came out bashing on Louis Brown, now I hear political party go by and steal the people's idea and try to make it 2 days before. Because they understand that it is a very important issue, right? So now, you know, this is just foolery. So here is what I'll be looking for me. I'll be looking on the 18th of December. I'll be looking for the people who say they got a morality, the LPP, and who belong to H. Bama family. I don't know if Bama family that can still lead protests in Liberia. Those people are also warlords. By the way, even worse than Louis Brown. Okay? And now the progressives, the LPP, that gave us protest, further protest. That is a cognitive dissonance. But here is the thing I will be looking at. Look, I don't understand who's in these people war rooms, these political parties. I don't understand if they understand what politics is. Maybe people just go to LU9 and read books and don't understand what political strategy is. Cummings and the ANC and the CPP, they're trying to show, like Koto said, that they have a stronghold, that they have a foothold, that they can put out numbers. So what the political parties, other political parties are supposed to do, sit and watch. And then you strategize. Okay, this guy went, he brought up these many people. Oh, he got numbers. Okay, we need to find a way to eat into his numbers. Oh, he doesn't have numbers. Let's not worry about him. Let's not open a war front with him. Let's look other places. That's how you strategize if you don't have a lot of money, which a lot of political parties don't have money. You can't open so many war fronts. But unfortunately, they're opening so many war fronts unnecessarily. The other thing is, if you are a researcher, like we do in politics, you will go to their rally and you will listen to what the people are saying. Not the people that are on the dais, that are on the stages speaking. You will ask the people in the crowd, what is actually bothering you? What is important to you? That is how, as a politician, you craft your message. That our Liberian people say this is the main problem. Our Liberian people say this is the main problem. But they're not doing it. They're going to sit down in their low basements and determine what they think the Liberian people think is the problem without talking to the Liberian people. So now the LPP is going to go to the State House, to the House of Representatives on the Capitol Hill and deliver a petition. Who you talk to? What data do you have to tell you what is important to the people? What research did you do? What was the survey? What's the data? No, it's a few people that sat down and think what is important. That's what they're going to present. How more credible are you than Alexander Cummings that's going to call people and listen to them to say what is harming them? So for me, I'll be saying now that day I'll be watching for two numbers. I'll be watching the 10 people that will go with LPP to go deliver the
Why do you keep with this 10 people?
10 people.
Okay. Amos George, would that be 10? Would that be 10? 10? You tell us this is
we had to, but you know, this is the same thing. This number been the continual push. When the last time when Alexander Cummings was returning, you saw the crowd of Porter, it quiet down that number again. Because they were saying, oh, we'll see who will tell to meet at the airport. When they saw those people, they came down again. People continue to push this number business. Yes, politics is number. We all know that. We are not denying the facts. There are what needed to be done in Liberia, which the ANC is doing. But here's the thing here. Let me push back on Dr. Toto. Their face, you're talking about the face of the ANC is now Louis Brown. I don't know what I know Dr. H by my formula. But if you don't know it, let me tell you.
Don't you bring HB the whole
No, hold on.
Don't you talk about HB yourself.
Hold on.
The backroom of protesting
HB stay on the mountain. HB stay on the mountain. Same chapter 1, stay in the mountain.
Hold on. You were talking, I didn't say anything. It's Burma formula that brought arm into Liberia. Joe Wallace is on the TRC. Then you talk about Louis Brown, that he was responsible for the horrible thing that happened. He worked for Charles Taylor. That is no argument. But there had not been a shred of evidence produced to say this man commanded people to kill these people. We are not assaulting people, but we are not finding people guilty by association. Your political leader, Tewa Gonglo, he worked for Emerson for 5 years. She was accusing that the killing that took place on Emerson or warranted when he was shot at the Senate House by the Ecomo police. What the Emerson say at the time. So I continue to tell people this is a slippery slope people want to go down with. But I will leave that bottle. If you're going to bring it, someone are prepared to take on you people. Let me just leave it at that point. So this issue here is people are saying, yeah, it is not coming, it's the face of the ANC. And he will be speaking on that day. Also, the writer would be Liberian people will come out to air the views. And from there, you can craft a policy because you know exactly what these people are telling you. But now, because the envy and elections from these different political institutions now, because the issue in Liberia, it is not coming how I will be in front, and Sister can bear me witness. Flag the issue before United Party Chairman Okando react. So it is not coming how been addressing the terminal failure of this government. And he had vowed that look, if I become president, the war crime court will come to Liberia. If anybody associated with me, they will go to the court to vindicate themselves. So this notion that Louis Brown now have become this man, that Louis Brown, Carol Congo work with Louis Brown on Ellen Johnson government. Then she was now accused Councillor Congo of being part of the war when Ellen Johnson finalized this war, 10,000. And July 27, 1989, she was in the Malawi mansion, and he took job from her. She was saying Councillor Congo doesn't have integrity. Stop this, just stop this thing. Someone know the history, and you know it. So if you're going to bring that bottle, you bring it. Because the envy of jealousy, because it is not coming out, come out the ANC, the CPP say, look, you know what happened? And sister, everybody can bear me. I said it the last time, I said,
stop using me for your reference. I beg you.
Okay. Well, I got to use it because you are here. When I call,
my God.
I said a demonstration. Jonathan said, no, it was just, I said, look, what's happening like there's a need for demonstration. And I'm glad they listen to me. And I mean, a rally, even now, I will propose that at the end of every month, there should be a rally by the ANC in Monrovia to conscientize the people of the fair region of George Weah.
At the end of what?
Every month, they should have a rally.
You will go there?
You rally, you bring
right after they get paid, they'll go rally.
You will go there? You'll be there too? Okay. All right. So let's make use of the last 10 minutes here.
So I told you, if you want to pay my way to go participate in the rally, I will go.
I will pay your way. You call for every month at the end of the month. I will pay you.
Elect with the Liberian people. We are playing our part.
Okay. Okay, quickly here.
This is a real core of the matter. Envy and jealousy. The Jones said, Mr. Costa, when we supported that protest, thousands of protesters, they refused to present a petition when the day the protest was staged. And how can you say Mr. Commissioner read us to people? We just, when the announcement was made, Mr. Costa Gala said, no, my people are not going there. I'm not a follower, I'm a leader. We are not heard a word from the Unity Party. They are silent.
Okay.
You see the double stand-up? It's like to say they got a special group of people that's suffering. It's not the entire masses. There's a cause. We can work around the cause, and this cause is about the suffering of the Liberian people. And let me just close on a note.
Yeah, quickly.
Suffering is part of our life, but there are a proportion, especially when it comes to central government, that conducting the people welfare, that social contract design. We take our resources and give it to you, and you in turn supposed to look after us. And if the government is not living up to that expectation, then of course we have to go into the street. We have to rally. So the issue is not ANC has a one side face for everything. No, the thing that we want to highlight and policy will be towards those things to solve the Liberian people problem. For now, we are not in the driver's seat.
Okay, quickly. We want to make use of the last 30 minutes here before we sign off here tonight. Dr. Toto, it looks like it appears, I don't know, you on your own, Amos Joy coming after you, your patron, Sissy coming after you. The Liberal, of course, is obvious.
Look, first of all, when it comes to protest in Liberia, the bear rap for protest in Liberia is LPP. We all know that. The progressive, when the progressive, real progressive, those that know what they did to protest, how they change the other course in Liberia. And today, we are saying we are boasting. Hold on. Listen. Today, we hear Able Georgia talking about ANC today because about the party that's out there from the progressive, the people of H. Whatever formula there, that's out there the struggle. And without people that HB there today, Louis Brown and Charles there who are level Monrovia or Liberia to what could have been described the worst in his history.
I will give him a 5 minutes. Let him tell me what HB did to stop that, please. I'll give him a 5 minutes.
So HB, so you cannot. So when it come to people that's heading for the outer coast in Liberia, you cannot disassociate HB there from it. Those are HB there that are the real hip or freedom fighter.
Bring it to the country to
hold on. Guys, not do it.
People are HB there. They are the we talk about freedom fighters. We talk about Sierra Joba or Water Sisolo there. We talk about the movement of justice in Africa. Those that you can't people that HB about those deals. We talk about struggle for liberation.
Now, Toto State, tell me what he did to stop Charter from the capital.
So those are things. So HB have played a role. HB have played a role. You know, so let's take HB out of the discussion today when it comes to what confronting the December 17th.
HB is a rebel leader, Chief. You know that.
But there. You know, don't have read the conversation today for the photo HB. That focus on the photos of the protest here, the face of the protest here. What they are done in Liberia through the charge of the regime when they were serving as national security advisor. And for APP, I was in the mirror make it clear. They know that they're not going to they already made their positions when it comes to the protest here. It's true that the Liberian people are a lot of suffering going Liberia going on, and they should not use that to the detriment of the life of the people, because they will come again and say, "Oh, you suffering, we'll give you broken honey, we'll get you later." And when they get you later again, they see the happy again, and I will continue to tell our people, the other person that have Liberia, I had read that can move Liberia from one step to the other step is the Tewa Goglo. And that's the one that people should look up to for any kind of regime change in Liberia to do or change in Liberia. Tewa Goglo, that other person. But all the other people that are jumping around from left or right, like no grasshopper politicians, will make a major difference.
Okay. All right. Will soon be the Liberal. This seems to be playing really well for you here tonight.
I'm truly enjoying myself. To be honest with you, I'm truly enjoying myself. But let me just say this, yeah, Mr. So. Let me just say this: as someone who has been, like I've always come out to say that God has blessed me a lot, that in my 25 or 15 years of life that I've been able to witness most these the 80s or 70s type major event in Liberia, from the Rest Riot. I didn't see the war. I wasn't there when the war happened. But from the Rest Riot, the coup, and then the election that brought in Dr. Weah, which we saw the sitting president turning over freely, peacefully turning over. I thought that was very, very outstanding. But let me just say this here. The progressive, which I consider myself to be the foot soldier at that time. I didn't see the war. So why am I hearing myself, Mr. Soul?
Yeah, because somebody monitors on, not me.
So you say you're in charge. You say you're in charge, Mr. Soul. Should we question you now? And is there somehow? But anyway, I'll come back to that. But let me just say this here. Let me just say this. Those of us that consider ourselves foot soldiers for the progressive, it is somehow sad for people who perhaps learn people, highly educated, but somehow forgotten to know that there were people that sacrificed their lives for us, some of us, to be to where we are, literally. The progressive in Liberia give us one man, one vote, which is now popular, and I'm proud of that. There's a speech here by Dr. Tover back in 1973 where he stated, the unfortunate majority. How can you have a country and you have majority to be unfortunate? And this is what the progressive was fighting for them. But let me go back to this present day stuff. I'm not here to lecture, I'm not here to relitigate history. History is history. We'll talk about it when the time comes. That's not tonight. But here's what I'm going to say about what is happening right now. If these other, but then again, this is Liberia. Before I even go on to make that statement, let me undercut my own statement right away before I know other people will. But this is Liberia. If other politicians would sit down, and since it correctly stated it here, but then again, I'm wondering, why is it that these politicians in Liberia are not looking to the like of Sisi Goya to say, I don't have money to pay you. We're in it together because we're doing what is good for our country. Join me in Liberia. And you can take leave of absence, and I'm sure the people Sisi working for, because this is also to help people, and in education, you're helping people prepare their lives, and hopefully, and maybe he might even accept that. They're not doing that. This upcoming rally, instead of other people running from this show to that show, running their mouths, this coming rally is one of those major, including sedition, let me just say this, it's one of the major events at this time to take the pulse of Liberians, to go into that rally. Even if you're not invited, you can stay right among the people and do your own poll. You sit right among the people and then try to gather more information instead of us condemning. Let's utilize this opportunity, even if you're not invited, even if you're not part of it. Utilize the opportunity and see and hear what Liberians will say about their country. Why is it that young Liberians right now are crying, struggling, crying all over to get out of the country? Why? Why were young Liberians, having gotten the opportunity to graduate from LDU, would not want to stay in Liberia? Why? These are the kinds of places you go and ask these questions. But instead, we want to question who brought about it and question what is it, what you're going to do for it. No. For me, Mr. Soul, it's not something that I'm willing to do. By the way, tomorrow, if once the program you're going to be the assignment that is yet to be fully approved by you, Mr. So one that is approved and will go out there tomorrow according to the program. Tomorrow is press day with Cummings. So we the press, we will have a lot of questions for Cummings tomorrow. And I pray that many people will want to tune into LIBERIA Public Radio because we will cover that live. And other media institutions will be there as well. I think there are 3 media institutions that was asked to be part of this program. And it's going to go, that's a long time. They say it's going to go from 12 to 3 o'clock. Oh my God, by the time I'm done with it, you will not see me here for 2 weeks because I'll be too tired. But Mr. So it's a wonderful show.
Will you still be asking him to go on a boycott?
Mr. So, please, I'm going over there as a visitor tomorrow. Don't try to preempt and put me in so they don't even want to take me in.
Let's do the last thing here quickly here. I know time is catching up with us. You guys, I know it was supposed to be one of our cardinal things, but we can just throw 1 or 2 on there before we go. The issue of General Prince C. Johnson, the Chief of Staff. There's an editorial here that I'm going to be playing it from the African Star as well, but I know most I share that audio, you'll listen to it. I'm trying to kind of like process here. I think there are more questions needs to be asked. I'm wondering whether the House standing, both houses of government needs to call him because he was very much definitive that people from the diaspora and inside Liberia were calling on him to overthrow the government. That's just a serious concern. You are the chief of staff of the armed forces of Liberia, and we see what is happening in this other west regional areas, the military taking over. He said people are calling him, text messages. So he is very open. Now the question now becomes, ladies, guys, it's our country. Can his chief of staff, Prince Johnson, tell us who are those people that are calling for subversive activity to overthrow a sitting president that was democratically elected? We saw the aftermath of his removing constitutional government. We saw it in Guinea and other places, Mali, and the war is still going on. Should Prince Johnson, General Prince Johnson, I mean, he's coming on a huge fire. Should he tell us more? Who are those that are calling on him? Who are those calling on him inside Liberia, outside of Liberia, that are calling literally to destabilize the country ahead of the presidential election? Who wants to go first? Okay.
I'll soon be leaving. All right, I'll leave.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead. Carter, before you.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. So. For the statement actually from the defense minister, because he is in charge right now, that was very irresponsible because that's a security issue. Overthrowing a government is a very grave issue that people should not overlook. This is an elected government. I mean, if that was the case, he should have been reporting to high security apparatus that are responsible for such an investigation. That wasn't his place to come out and start making those statements. Which the statement he made, I was like, it wasn't any harmful, but when he came out to say people led him to have made those statements, I thought it was something that he shouldn't have done. What he would have done was to report these people that that told him to overthrow, to be sent to the very high security apparatus that will investigate them. Because you don't do that. You don't overthrow. He knows very well where it is. Okay? And coming out to make such a statement, it wasn't necessary to be made by him because he defense ministry, like he rightly said, is a last resort. So it wasn't his place to really come out to make such a statement. Even though for me, I didn't look at it harmful the way he made it, trying to explain the reason why there should be a last resort. That wasn't his place. Okay? But I think what he would have done was to report these people that have called him and they should be investigated. If indeed he has proof that these people actually told him to go and commit the act.
All right. Thank you so much.
And I want to thank you guys. It was
All right.
nice.
Thank you so much for always providing expertise. Thank you so much. Okay. So, Sister Jaho, your piece, I believe, Dr. Turanga. Let's leave it in the gentleman. So, then, Dr. Turanga, we asked that same question too, but I'm going to add a little bit piece of part. If you are the head of state or you are the sitting president and you hear your chief of staff saying that, and you are out of the country upon your return, do you think that chief of staff still have a position in your government?
I will be cringing if I was out of the country and I heard that. I will be very much cringing in my seat because it is a security issue. I mean, for the record, from what I know of, I've read of Prince Johnson. At the very least, it does have the country's spirit at heart, and he does have the country's interest at heart. But I want to agree with Koto in the sense of saying those kinds of words, especially associating Liberia with overthrow. I mean, again, we cannot. It's a very vulnerable country, especially to war. Saying something like that, you just don't know where direction it was going to go. I don't know. I didn't hear. I didn't go back to play. I think I just probably heard a sound bite of it, so I didn't hear the context in which it was used, so to speak to it. But I think if I was the head of state, I'm out of the country, and I'm hearing, I would cringe whether he's going to lose his job or not. I think that's something that has to be probably evaluated. I don't think, based on the fact that Prince Johnson does have an interest, have the country's interest at heart in his other roles that he played. It's spoken very much to Stan. But that was an irresponsible statement. I mean, I will leave it at that because I didn't hear the context in which he spoke it. So I cannot speak to why he would have said that. I mean, anybody can run with that. So I would just say again, it was irresponsible, and I will be scratching my head very, very much if I was out of the country and being the head of state.
Okay, you're out of the country with this sort of endless stay here. Will you try to go back to see there's an uncertainty? Will you go back, or will you still continue to be away from the country?
I mean, as a head of state, one, the world is scratching their head. Our head of state is out of the country for such a long time. In it of itself is a security issue. To leave the country that vulnerable. However, if there are some credence to what he says, yes, I will have to come back, because you cannot, as the head of state, when anything happens, you are the leader that give orders, even though you do have people in place. But I would be coming back to see exactly where the statement is coming from, and if there's any credence to that statement.
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, if there were none and he just haphazardly said it, that's where I said it was said in an irresponsible platform. I think Quetta is right. There are protocols to these things if the country is a threat for any reason, and before it gets into the public or be stated to the public, you must have vetted everything and be ready to execute, because that's a security issue and that's a terroristic act. If someone is planning to overthrow the government or asking you to incite that is in the realm of terror.
Yeah,
so
yeah, absolutely.
It's I will not take it lightly, especially coming from someone as credible, even though he himself is not saying. He say he's receiving information. I think the intel should have vetted that information so that they can give the public some assurance whether or not it's coming from a credible source or not. It shouldn't have been a statement to just be made and then everybody just scratching their head what's going on. You know, we are at a vulnerable state, and I don't think statements like that should be made without intel being involved, so that they can now come back and give us an assurance that, okay, we vetted the possibility and it's nothing there, or it's true, because we do have our head of state that is outside of the country. I mean, God forbid that statement is true. He's outside the country and the country is overthrown because someone is interested in doing so. Again, he's not going to be able to come back in the country. It is all types of layers of security issues, especially the fact that the president is outside the country for such an extended period.
Thank you so much. And we saw what happened in Sierra Leone, and right after things quiet down, Judah Malabio went back there. That was another way of taking charge. Dr.
Exactly.
Kimant Taranka, thank you so much for your expertise, and
thank you.
A pleasant weekend.
Thank you so much.
All right, bye-bye. Okay, let's leave the gentleman in the house. Sister Goya, you want to go first?
Absolutely, and I'm not going to mince words. You see, this is where I get a problem with, I look at people written credentials and I look at their body of work. And I'm going to come to Prince Johnson, but I want to tie something in here. When we look at the like of Henry Brahma Fumbler that led the progressive according to people, and he stopped Chancellor from leveling the mansion, only to advise Abel Sawyer to form a rebel terroristic group called the Black Beret that fought alongside Ulimbo. And we wonder why no progressive have won any election, presidential election in Liberia. Because their written work is different from their action. Prince Johnson, as a trained and educated soldier, he's been in the U.S. so many times for so many trainings. If you look at his credentials, he's led military force, peacekeeping force into Mali. This is not the first time he's speaking on the other side of his mouth. Remember the audio tape from Mali when it was leaked? So at minimum, General Prince Johnson should be relieved of his post immediately, disrobed, interrogated, and court-martialed. Effective immediately, the president should do that. And here are my reasons. Number one, if you Prince Johnson, what is the intent? What was because when you communicate, there's an intent behind communication. What was the intent behind him saying people have been asking him to overthrow the government or texting him about overthrowing the government? If you got those messages from people urging you to overthrow the government or planning to overthrow the government, you have military intelligence in the AFL. Did you turn that over to them? Did you turn your phone over to them for them to take your phone and try to track where those messages are coming from? Did you turn it over to the NSA? And if you did, this should not be something you're discussing in the open right now, because you will not be the person close with the authority, because you're not a head of the Joint Security Commission in Liberia to make those statements. And so if people have been texting you, for how long have they been texting you that you were quiet? If you were quiet, does that mean you were thinking about doing it? You were kind of thinking, should I weigh it? Should I not weigh it? Why didn't you come out the first time they came out to you?
For how long? I said, been.
How long? Because if you've been having it that long and you've been keeping it, then that tells me that you were contemplating, should I do it, should I not do it? The fact that you're even thinking about it, it's a violation of your oath of duty. And so for me, anyway he dices this thing, if he sat on it, he was thinking about it. If he didn't sit on it, he should have handed it over to surveillance authority, or to at least his military intelligence to investigate it. If military intelligence have investigated it, Daniel Zanka, the defense minister, should be the one in consultation with friend Musa Din to have these conversations. He should have turned over his phones so that people can do so cyber experts and data analysts can look into it. So either way you dice this, Prince Johnson is a smart man. He's an educated man. This comment was not only unfortunate, it is a threat to the peace in Liberia. And so if I were advising the president right now, Prince C. Johnson, the chief of staff of the armed forces of Liberia, should be immediately arrested, disrobed, interrogated, and court-martialed.
Court-martial. Those are very strong words. And this is where the frustration comes from with all of our media. What I was just a brief, press statement. And this is where the microphone should be going. How long this thing has been going? How long? Who are those people? He made it crystal clear. I've not heard anything from the Senate. I see it. Mr. George, we go ahead quickly so we can wrap it up this evening. Do you agree, first of all, do you agree with Sisse? We're not hearing you. Let me see.
Something to it to cut me off, shut me down. Look, let me say this. I 100% agree with Sisse. His statement was reckless and irresponsible. reckless and irresponsible. But this is not General Johnson first time. I think there was when that rape issue came out one time, he made some derogatory statement again. Now, this issue, you don't just put the army in the street because you're the chief of staff. No. The act in 2008, the act said that the army can only get in the street with the express approval of the President of the Republic of Liberia. But in that, General Johnson was saying that, hey, we can do this if the police say no. There is the military political MP that's supposed to work if there's anything called upon. The justice minister will get in touch with the president, and the president will instruct the justice minister. Then he will call the defense minister, the chief of staff, to say, hey, we need help in this area. That is the chain of command. But General Johnson, I think he thinks that he's on top of the world in Liberia now. He's untouchable. So he come out to make some irresponsible and reckless statement. And people cannot hold him accountable. It's as if the fact is not what he's saying. When did you receive that message? Who sent it? What did you do? Who did you report to? Which one of the authorities was informed?
In fact, what was your own response to those messages?
That's what people they talk.
If I'm talking to CC send message and we're having that talk, it means CC is saying something. I am saying something in return as well.
He said, my body then. So my body then in America. So it means that he knows these people. The body then be sending messages and things, quote. So it means that he has something. You are thinking of something, but you were in the middle. Should I do it or should not? This is where he caught himself. He know the people that were talking to him. He know who have been talking to him about these things to overthrow the government. And he decided, okay, I will think on it. Oh, my man, I don't think it's feasible now. These are the things that are happening.
To avoid being leaked.
Yes. To come on now. Now he think that he's being smart now to come and say like this. Hey, oh, man, that's a loose statement you're making. You did not follow any protocol. No chain of command. But you want us to believe that, oh, people say that no, he's part of it. Then just the ridiculous thing he did again. To link the former commanding general Thomas Kumaba West to say, look what she said the other time about overthrowing the government. And in the interview, he said something. He said, like, not this government. So which government you planning to overthrow? He said that not this government.
The crack is not doing us a favor.
So this man has an intent. As Sister said, look, this man should be immediately disrobed.
My goodness.
Turn over to the court martial. Try and court martial for this guy here.
Okay, let me make Dr. Toto the co-marshal general of Dr. Toto here. Take it in the scholarly room here. You heard Sissy, you heard Amos George. Do you have a different version?
You know, I know Prince Johnson. Let me just say, I'm not one of the body from America that talk to you.
Would be such
I'm not one, but Prince Johnson is a very nice guy, you know, very good gentleman, and I'm so hard to be disappointed in the statement that came from, you know, and I hope he was here, you know, to face some of the things when he come tomorrow, when he come answer some of the questions, you know, like I don't want, you know, diaspora Liberia. When it comes to Liberia situation, diaspora Liberia, it's always a problem. Most of the political changes, government take over, we are seeing pressure for diaspora Liberia have leveled on people in Liberia. You know, this is where so this is where I get off. So there are people that in this country, in the diaspora. They want some change in by whole Liberia, so maybe they try to use Prince Johnson as one of the weaker links that they can get to corrupt him bar to persuade him, to come out to make some of this impact. But as I said, Prince is a very good gentleman. And I don't think he have any intention to carry any kind of regime change like brought through military means. Maybe his statement, maybe did not portray the message out good or some communication problem. That's how I look at it, but I don't think Prince Johnson has the type of person I know he is. I don't think Prince Johnson has any intention to go that way.
The doctor struggling to defend.
All right. Let us take us home this morning. He's on the other second side of the world involved. The liberal. We're not hearing you. Liberal, we're not hearing you. Let me see.
Mr. So please unblock the liberal Vicky because he's struggling to unblock it.
That's not me. If I try to do it way.
That new technology he not go by trying.
Says he got that new equipment he got.
New equipment trying. I'm muting said that. We can't hear you.
We're not hearing you. You're not black on my end. Yes, Mike. I try to do it still now.
That's some kind of computer glitches.
Oh my God, this guy.
I know he can't accuse me because I got no subject.
You must stick with the player you are having. You go change it.
You see, that's the result when you take Walmart County and you think that a Grand County. That's where your own County can catch you. Your own County and I catch you the evening. We're not hearing you at all because I kept on muting from this side and it's still. Check your. I think that's your assistant there. My goodness. Okay. We're still not getting anything for some reason. Okay. Well, all right. Okay. So, well, folks, gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for your time this evening. We're going to be here by God's willing in the coming week for more information. Thank you for your commitment. And I think I shared the information in the chat. I was surprised yesterday. Saw that happening on other network. And so I think pretty well we're doing what we're supposed to do. Okay.
Yeah.
But we over already. So.
No, I beg you. No, on a very serious note. No, I'm sorry that I have this issue here, but let me just say, can you hear me?
Good evening, welcome.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. No, on a very serious note, he's a young man, young guy, who were trusted by this government, even previous government, and was not only trusted by this government, but trusted by the American as well. They work with him. So for right now, my main interest now is to watch how the American gonna handle this guy. Are they going to continue to train him? Why would he come out to make this kinds of statement? He's not somebody who is uneducated, highly educated, and trained. Why would he say, even if people give him that kind of statement or calling him, and you know very well you're not going to do that? What's the purpose of you coming on and making this public announcement? Is it because you're mad because the president didn't take you to Qatar and took the defense minister? Is that what bothering you? I mean, why would you do this? Why would you do what exactly is happening? Then again, is it because Liberia is a place where anybody can go? You have people like Davis, the general here who wanted to kill people, and then went over there. They denied. They're still getting jobs. Is that what this place is? This is very, very concerning. This is very concerning, and I hope that this government will find time to explain. And one of the things that I want to predict, I don't think it's over. I think by the end of this month or even early next year,
hold on 1
I
second.
will have a job long.
Okay.
Thank you.
I don't have to him. You'll keep a job.
Yeah, go ahead. Liberal.
No, I'm saying by the end of this year, or by the time the president get back on ground, this young man will turn in his resignation. The American going to pressure him to resign. He cannot, especially come election time, and you're going to have a chief of staff for the military who make these kinds of reckless statements to be someone to say that perhaps he's there to safeguard democracy. The American going to pressure Dr. Weir and pressure this young man to resign.
Okay, thank you so much, Gary. Okay, Paul, it's better late than never. We are about to go, but I guess you've been calling you.
Hi, hello.
Yeah, what's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Sunshine, calling from Washington, D.C.
Okay, go ahead.
My intake is, listen, we're fighting for our people, our people in Liberia. What we have to do is forget you activists, podcasts. We're not worried about no opposition. Even if this Louis Brown wants to have this rally, it's for our people. As he said, ain't no time for no being this side, going this side, ANC, CBP, all that nonsense. We are fighting for our people in Liberia. And you come on, all of you guys, come on, we watch you guys. We don't say that, but we watch. The Americans watch. Our biggest problem is to bring our country up to par and fight for our people. We're not going to be sitting there in America our whole fucking life. I'm sorry for using that word. We have to have this protest. And let me tell you something. The American will not solve our problems. We all our own. As the ambassador said, we must seize the moment. They must get on the streets and fight for their rights. So you guys can sit here and talk all this. They are on ground. They get money from abroad. You're sending your hard-earned money. And it's like you have to take care of your bills here and take care of that back home. Who does that? A whole country, everybody is taking care of them in Liberia. You have to sanction our own people. McCarthy is an FBI, CIA. McCarthy there is to protect the interests of his own country. He's not there for us. You know these white people, y'all live here. For his own interests, terrorism, and to protect USA. That's it. That's it. He is not doing nothing, no sanction. All those sanctions is for the U.S. interests. We have to fight our own battle. Yes.
So
you know what I mean?
Yeah. So
you know these Americans, you know them.
Yeah.
McCarthy is there. That America don't have since the Cold War. They left Liberia. They came back. I came here when I was 16 years old.
So
I've been living here. I've been back home and all. And you know these people. They brought everybody here to work hard, slave, make money for them. But they can say all that. But all the sanctions, they had a sanction for Solway. Everything is for their own interest.
Okay,
let's have go out and assemble. We don't care about no opposition, who this, who that, LA coming this, and let these people, and they must fight. Because if they don't assemble, America, there's nobody coming. I can tell you that. There's nobody. When they do what they have to do, that's it. And McCarthy has said, if they don't fight for themselves this coming election, they're turning their back on us. Period. So they're on ground. We don't care. Then you see the leaders, like people, they sit there, they get money from America. Y'all keep sending money, everybody relax. And y'all keep talking about this opposition, that opposition. It's not our problem. So they keep talking, but America is watching. So the people on ground not fighting for themselves, they ain't coming nowhere. They're not coming nowhere. And they can forget it. And the American people look at us and like, what the hell going on? They're talking about this opposition. Right now we're supposed to be talking about the census. We're supposed to be talking about elections. That's the me.
So
That's
yeah,
our main
but okay,
concern right now.
okay, yeah,
And
one
let me tell you
second.
something. Let
No,
me
hold
tell
on,
you,
hold
I'm
on,
not
hold
saying
on, one
nothing.
second now. We
Don't
can
tell
have.
me I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to go
Yeah,
back
but
and forth.
I've given you a
Let me tell
time,
you, I
so
got one
let
more
it.
thing to say. Just when America train the
Okay, there I gotta let you go. We don't accept some sort of rudeness here on this. We give you a time enough for you to talk, but you can just want to think you're gonna kind of run over here. That's not what we do. That to suggest that we don't have work to do, people should just go on the street. You left 16 years ago. I've been there yesterday, day before yesterday. We are talking about burning issues here. We are having a civil conversation. If you're not willing to accommodate our side of the story of how we're talking about our country, then you are, I can tell you then you are out of touch, and that is sad because you've been there 16 years. You don't know what's going on. You haven't been a grand leader, you haven't been a Sando, you have not been a grand ambassador, and you just only telling people to jump in the street. We need to know, yes, it is the people's right to go in the street, but we need to know why are they going in the street. We need to have a conversation. We need to conscientize the people. We need to educate the people, even if they are going in the street. It must be with civility. The very America that we are in, every day demonstration is ongoing here, even before the State House, White House, and everywhere. But it's conducted with civility. So for you to say it and that you will not want us to hear our side of the story and not even giving the audience to have a dialogue, it is unacceptable. We don't do that here at LPR. I'm sorry to say. Well, guys, thank you so much. For anybody want to say something, I think we are done for the night, right? Thank you so much, and we wanted to. We're going to call it night here. Thanks to all of our guys here. I think there was a number. So before we go here, the liberal, Pa George, thank you so much, and we'll be back here. I will coordinate with you right after the program. Okay, I'm Alfonso Zay, sort of the Liberia Public Radio. Caller, including myself, callers, and people that follow, all must be held accountable. We will not. This is not an entertainment industry. We're putting time, resources, energy to do what we are doing, and we also respect the time of our followers, our viewers. We will all not be on course with the same thing, but respect must be maintained at all levels right here on this network. You can go any other place and do what you want to do, that's fine. This is why our tone, our language here is being carefully to use. We respect our leaders who would disagree with them, but we also have to give them their side of the story. Opposition, imposition, government, all of us, including those of us that sit behind the microphone, we must be accountable. You can't come and you can't just get and make a careless statement and you think you're going to walk free. This is LPR. And when I'm in charge, I am in charge. I give you the respect and it must be reciprocated. Period. I have been in Liberia over and over. You have not been there from your tone, from your language. And you just put everybody in that basket of deplorable. You sit down on podcasts. You're not doing this. You're not doing this. I am having the time. What time you think I'm going to sit and waste without pressure time and can't sit 2 hours to talk about my country without a substance? We have great people here, Dr. Toto, Dr. Taranka, Samson Todd, Sister Goya, Amos George. These are people that represent different background, whether we agree with them. Even those that even following us. They are all not government CDC. They are not all oppositions. They are independents. They are different people from different background. We must give them the respect they deserve as well. If you are a caller, if you call here, if we allow you to talk, give us a chance to also have a dialogue, because whatever statement that is made here does not in any way represent the Liberia Public Radio. We do facilitate these high conversation to make sure our country and decisions are made, not in isolation, but well-informed decisions. And those decisions can be made based on the conversations that we have here. And this is why we maintain civility at all times. We encourage to tell our viewers, to challenge our talking points, our things that we say. They can go and do a research to confirm it. And then we are not infallible. We'll come back here and let you know, say, whatever information we put out there, it was wrong. But for a Liberian who thinks that he or she has his country ahead and just tell people, jump in the street, go do this, take your country back. How are you taking the country back? What methodology are you using to take your country back? Are you calling for violence? Or are you willing to provide civil education that the people will vote on issues and on policy? I'm not responsible if you left America, you left Liberia 16 years or 18 years ago or whatever, and you fail to go back. It's on you. It's on you. So it means you have no idea what is going on. You just only rely on social media. And this is why we always try to have a civil conversation here, because people are living in illusions, have no idea what is going on, because they get one phone call, they get this message, and they convict everybody, put them in that basket of deplorable. It is unacceptable and it is unfair to Liberia. I am Alfonso Zienso. Before we go, we're going to give you this, how you call it, this, let me make sure here is okay, no, that's not it. Okay, Liberia Public Radio in collaboration with African Start is online news network here. Let's bring you this editorial as we wrap up into this edition.
Military intervention is no solution to the country's political challenges. African Star is deeply concerned about the complexity of governance and a reminder of the recent painful and dangerous past in the West African country, which has been compounded by what is becoming unwarranted: the unsolicited comments of the Liberian Army Chief of Staff, Major General Prince C. Johnson III, when he seemingly offered a veiled threat to anyone who takes the law into their hands ahead of presidential and general elections in 2023. Major General Johnson is a senior military executive who, under the governance tradition modeled after that of Western democracies, is subject to civilian authority. His direct boss is the Minister of Defense, a civilian, who serves at the will and pleasure of the President of Liberia. African Star is quite troubled with the utterances of the Chief of Staff, Major General Johnson, who has taken the liberty in a local radio interview to forcefully offer the posture of the military that it would intervene to support the police if it is overwhelmed in its function of maintaining law and order in the future. We are exceedingly terrified by Liberia's ugly past and the prior role of the Liberian military in the West African nation's politics. Constitutionally, Liberia's military role is reserved for the function of responding to external threats to the security and territorial integrity of the country. Article 85 of the 1986 Constitution reads in part that, quote, all military power or authority shall at all times, however, be held in subordination to the civil authority and the Constitution, unquote. It is no secret that Liberians are real witnesses to the historical excesses and abuse of the military when it allowed itself to become an extension of the state, to interfere in propping up particular administrations under the guise of saving the Republic from internal threats. We wish to unequivocally remind General Johnson of the armed forces of Liberia's interventions in Liberian politics for policing functions, the inhumane tax collection of the 1930s through the 1950s, the policing practices of the armed forces of Liberia during the April 14, 1979 rights protest, which culminated in the April 12, 1980 brutal military coup, after which 17 government officials were accused of high corruption and executed. Indeed, the runaway debacle of the abuse of the military by prior administration decades prior to and including the back-to-back wars in the 1990s, in which the Liberian military spread itself into various warring factions, resulted in the murder of over 250,000 people and the destruction of property. Liberians are yet to forget the dubious roles of the armed forces of Liberia personnel individually and collectively in these diabolically motivated and shameless acts. African Star recognizes that Liberians are beginning to regain respect and hope for the reconstituted armed forces of Liberia, AFL, following the devastating wars, and because it has demonstrated its adherence to wanting to be a force for good. As far as African Star is concerned and is aware, there are no external threats to the country, nor has the government requested the intervention of the military in any perceived threat, like a declared state of emergency for the survival of the country, to warrant the statement of Major General Johnson. Article 86A of the 1986 Constitution states that, quote, a state of emergency shall be declared only where there is a threat or outbreak of war or where there is civil unrest affecting the existence, security, or well-being of the Republic amounting to a clear and present danger, unquote. African Star acknowledges and supports the growing maturation and expression of different voices in Liberia against irresponsible and dangerous statements and actions by some against peaceful coexistence in the country. This is a good thing. Just this week, at his appearance at the National Legislature, the Inspector General of the National Police advised of the lack of adequate resources to do his job. This has been a chronic situation that has eroded public confidence in the ability of the government to protect citizens. While we also acknowledge the challenges facing the Liberian National Police, any intervention of the armed forces of Liberia, as General Johnson is suggesting, is totally unacceptable and unwelcome. African Star strongly believes that the shortcoming of the National Police must rally the national government's budget support and international goodwill from the country's international partners to enhance credible efforts at judicial and police reforms, which are long overdue and need urgent attention. However, these delayed reforms have no support for military intervention now or in the future. African Star strongly believes that these shortcomings contribute to the lack of a secure environment for the sustenance of democracy in Liberia, not the perceived solution of the threat of intervention by the military to save the republic. The unwavering commitment to strengthening the rule of law under civilian authority negates the need for Major General Johnson to make unsolicited and insensitive utterances that have the propensity to threaten the democratic atmosphere and institutions and incite the military into unique political interference. African Star also believes that allowing the military to offer a posture of intervening in the future in security threats to maintain law and order as the police should be expected to handle threatens the free and responsible exercise of constitutional rights of citizens. While African Star seems grateful to the Liberian Army for its role in the country's democracy, we must also remind them that Liberia is not a perfect democracy. Governance, incompetence, corruption, bureaucratic shortcomings, and lack of resources also affect the ability of the army to always be apolitical and professional. However, we urge that the army maintain a clear focus on its role and its subordination to civilian authority, not to be tempted into blustering into governance and political matters. African Star reiterates to Major General Johnson that going forward, he makes the extra effort to maintain the tradition of channeling his concerns through his bosses at the Ministry of Defense, and also that he pledges to remain professional, responsible, and circumspect in his public utterances. We applaud the armed forces of Liberia's mantra of being a force for good, and we hold them accountable for being so, and urge General Johnson to desist from acts that have the potential to undermine the country's democracy course, security, and freedom. We challenge the relevant Liberian government institutions as well as the international community, including the United States government, the EU, AU, ECOWAS, and other friendly nations to keep Chief of Staff Major General Prince C. Johnson III and those similarly situated in check, and to avail him of the consequences of any future irresponsible utterances against the democratic space in Liberia. We at the African Star pledge to utilize our media platform and resources to defend Liberia's hard-earned democracy. After all, the Liberian military is no answer to the country's political challenges. This African Star editorial represents the views of the editorial board.
Well, that's the editorial there from the African Star newspaper in collaboration with the Liberia Public Radio. Views expressed on critical issues affecting our country, whether we are in or out. We all do have a shared common interest in the motherland. I want to thank all of our viewers, our listeners, wherever you are, for sharing your evening, your morning, to afternoon with us. At Liberia Public Radio, we maintain civility at all times, but there must be a fine line. Do not cross the red line. This is a serious business. The country is at a crossroad. We come here to sit to have a conversation, to understand we are putting in time, energy to discuss. And in a civilized society, you sit around the round table conference to dialogue your agreement, your disagreement, put it into context and be persuasive to convince me. Violence is no way, no one has monopoly over violence. We have seen it in the past and we went through it. There was folks who felt they had dominion over violence and that did not yield no result. This time, we must sit around the conference table and have a dialogue as Liberians for the good of the country. I want to thank you so much for your time this evening. Your comments, your suggestions, your tweets, what I was criticized against or for, we don't see as anything. We'll learn from you. And this is why we value you when you are here. We always do our best to offer the best to you. Dr. Turonkat, a seasoned lawyer, Dr. George Tuto, a professor, Sister Goyo, teachers, Samson Brown Toh, an engineer. These are all professional people. They are not forced to come here. But whatever they are doing it for the good of the country. I am Alfonso Z, and so have a pleasant evening. Bye-bye.